What does it really mean to be fearless? Let me tell you about a moment that stuck with a young Miles Davis forever. He was just 3 years old, standing in front of a gas stove. A blue flame jumped out. He felt fear for the first time. But here's the twist. He also felt excitement. That flame wasn't just a threat. It was an invitation. That moment pushed him to the edge of everything he knew. And instead of backing down, his instinct told him, move forward. That mindset, that's where fearlessness begins. See, there are two ways people deal with fear. The first is passive. The second, active. The passive way? That's when you duck and hide. You avoid conflict. You delay hard conversations. You stay in your comfort zone and build a safe little life. But in doing that, you also build a cage. It's quiet, it's clean, and it's full of hidden regret. Then there's the active way. That's when fear comes knocking, and you answer the door. Maybe you lost someone. Maybe you lost everything. Maybe life forced your hand, and instead of folding, you stood up. And what happened? You realised it wasn't as bad as you thought. You tapped into a strength you didn't know you had. That's the kind of fear that wakes you up, clears your mind, sharpens your edge. But most people? They slip right back into comfort after it's over. That fire fades and they go back to playing it safe. Let's talk about what separates the average person from the fearless type. Comfort weakens you. It dulls your instincts. It makes you afraid of discomfort. When your life is soft, even the smallest problem can feel like a crisis. That's why most people panic at the idea of risk. They're not used to pressure. But some people grow up with pressure. They wake up every day to struggle. Poverty, war, death, pain. In that kind of life, you don't get the luxury of hiding. You face fear daily, or you get swallowed by it. And here's what happens to those who rise. They get tougher. They get sharper. They stop reacting and start creating. They don't just survive fear. They flip the script. They make fear their fuel. Let me be real with you. No one is born fearless. That's a myth. Fearlessness is forged. It's a product of trials, failure, pain, and pressure. The difference between the people who break and the ones who rise, it's will. It's hunger. It's that fire that says, I'm not going out like this. Eventually, the ones who rise stop just facing fear. They start attacking life. They go from defense to offense. They build their own rules. They stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. Let me give you a few real-life examples. Start with Napoleon Bonaparte, born in chaos, thrown into the madness of the French Revolution. People were getting their heads chopped off left and right. New kinds of war were being fought, political traps everywhere. But instead of hiding or backing down, Napoleon leaned into the chaos. He used it. In 1800, he was leading an army through the Alps. Everyone told him it was suicide. The snow, the terrain. Impossible. His reply? For Napoleon's army, there shall be no Alps. That's the fearless attitude. He didn't ask if it was possible. He decided it would be. Let's switch gears. Frederick Douglass, born into slavery. The whole system was built on keeping people like him afraid. Afraid to learn, afraid to speak, afraid to move. But Douglass refused. He taught himself to read and write. In secret. Got beaten for it. Fought back. Escaped. Started speaking out. Started publishing. Everyone wanted him to stay in his lane, repeat the same speeches. Instead, he launched his own paper. Something unheard of at the time for a former slave. He didn't let fear shrink him. He expanded. Every time the world tried to corner him, he stepped forward with even more boldness. Here's the formula. Resistance plus boldness equals power. Now let's talk about someone from privilege. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Born into wealth, educated, groomed for politics. Then at 39, polio hits. He loses the use of his legs. That could have been the end. He could have quit, hid from the world. But he didn't. He fought back, mentally and emotionally. And he became the president that led America through the Great Depression and World War II. One of the most fearless leaders this country has ever had. His circumstances changed, but his spirit didn't. He made a choice. rise anyway. And that's the core of the fearless type. They're not superhuman. They just choose forward motion. Every time, when most people hesitate, they move. When most people complain, they adapt. When most people shrink, they expand. So what about you? You're going to face pain. You're going to get hit with loss, failure, setbacks, rejection. That's not a maybe. It's a guarantee. But the question is, will you let it define you or refine you? Let adversity become the fire that hardens your steel. Let fear become the reason you move harder, not the excuse to slow down. And when the world says it can't be done, when the voices tell you to wait, when the path looks blocked, you look them dead in the face and say, there are no Alps.